You're listening to Singapore's hottest campus radio station.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, lend me your ears.
Radio Heatwave.
You're listening to After Hours with Ethan and Dawn. But if you noticed, Ethan isn't on air with me today because we're joined by a very special guest. He is a Brooklyn-based Singaporean singer-songwriter and producer whose heartfelt indie pop sound has resonated with listeners all around the world. So please welcome hongjoin!
Woo! What up? What up?
Hi hongjoin!
Hello.
Welcome back to Singapore.
Thank you.
You know, I know that you've been preparing hard for your biggest Singapore headline show, Escape, right?
Yes,
which is
sir.
next week, and for your newly released album Clockwork. But before we talk about that, I want to know, how does it feel to be back in Singapore?
It feels good to be home. You're always welcomed by a heat wave, and I think it's so, leaving and then coming back, it reminds you that this is home. And get to see my friends, my family again. So always super nice to be home.
That's very cute. This is home.
Oh, so patriotic.
Yeah, but before we dive into your music journey, I would like to know a little bit more about yourself in general. So, can you describe your music in 3 words?
Just three?
Yeah, but okay, you know what? For you, maybe we can do a
Alright,
little
3.
bit more.
Let's do 3. Warm, nostalgic, and smooth.
Ooh, smooth. That's a very interesting way to describe it. Why would you say that?
Smooth because I think my top lines are very catchy. And I think also the way that I write songs is kind of, it makes you want to jump, but also it's kind of sad at the same time. So you get a little confused, but yeah, smooth is the word I would use.
So you have many songs, right? You have many collaborations, but are there any collaborations or like people you would like to collab with? They can be alive or not alive. Anything, up to you.
Let's start local.
Local, yeah,
I
sure.
think I want to give a shout out to Yao, one of my favorite songwriters. I think the way he captures city pop, so smooth.
Smooth.
And I think I've always looked up to his work. And he's been in this game for a long time. I look forward to working with him one day. On a global scale, I would say my dream has always been to write with a band called Valley. They're Canadian. I learned a lot of my songwriting techniques from them. The way they deal with pop music, and I think they juxtapose, not to use big words, but they juxtapose happy melodies with really sad lyrics, and I think I try to bring that out in my own music as well. So to be in a room with them would be awesome.
Wow, juxtapose. I was a lit student, so I don't think it was a really big word. But no, it's a really very poetic word, I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all of this with us. I personally felt that was so smooth, like you said.
Smooth.
Almost like Clockwork. And speaking of that, up next is Clockwork, the self-titled track from hongjoin's newly released full-length debut album, only on the hottest on campus, Radio Heatwave. So in this talk set, we're going to talk about how you write songs and how they resonate with so many people around the world. So I would say my first question to you is, as someone who writes from personal experiences like love, growing up, so on and so forth, how do you know when a song is ready to be released to the world?
Before you hear it, I've already listened to it 200 times. And I think the mark of a song that's ready to be out is when I've mixed, produced it, and listened to it over 200 times, and I'm not sick of it yet. And usually that means it's probably good. I trust my own taste. So yeah, I think when also that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it, the day you write it, you're like, this is it. I think you probably relate to just that feeling of euphoria when you think you made something special, And for me, making this album was kind of just that, a lot of that, and those moments made making the album super precious.
You know, as a singer, songwriter, and producer, what would you say is the most fun part, or like what's your favorite part of the creative process?
Yes, I think this is always a very hard question for me because I love all aspects of it. But playing live is my favorite thing to do. I think even when I'm making a record, when I'm making an album, or even just a song, I like to picture how I would play this live. You know, I live to play live. I put music out so I can share it with people. And I think those moments with like seeing fans in real life, you know, is just a very rewarding feeling. And I think it's my favorite part about being an artist, and, you know, seeing their faces and putting a face on these Instagram profiles who always comment and engage with you. It means a lot to me because they take time out of their own schedules just to come for a show or to support you when they have no reason to. They don't even know me. So, yeah, I think it's very special what I have with these people.
So just now you did mention a lot of artists you would like to collaborate, right? And a lot of your songs really do blend this bedroom pop, this indie R&B, I would say. Who or what has really influenced your sound the most?
When I first started making music, I didn't have a teacher per se. But I learned all of the basics off of YouTube, and there's this artist called Jeremy Zucker that breaks down his videos on YouTube. Breaks down his production sessions on YouTube, and I think those are very informative, and I learned a lot of my skills and techniques just from, you know, listening to his music and also just watching those type of videos. Dayglow, you know, makes everything from his bedroom, and, you know, very inspiring for people like me. Seeing them do it and having good music come out from them, you get inspired and you're like, I can do this too, and I don't need a lot to make music. And even now, like, I think it's very it keeps me grounded and reminds me of my roots when, you know, it's just me and my laptop in a bedroom with some keys and guitars, and you can make. I think that's pretty much how I made the whole album anyways.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask you about like your life before you produced music for everybody. I know you produced music for yourself, right? When you were in your bedroom doing all these kind of things. And I just want to ask, has your songwriting process changed?
Yes, this is getting into the niche part of music, but to all my music producers and people who know or are familiar with making music, when I first started making music, I didn't know much. I just like to write. So I just wrote stuff on my acoustic guitar, my piano, and I wrote the lyrics down on like pen and paper. And now I can start with the whole production ready in my DAW, which is, you know, like Logic, Ableton, whatever you call it. And I write over that. So you reverse the process. It used to be me having the song kind of done acoustically and then bringing that into my laptop, and now it's the other way around, where I have the production ready and then I write stuff over it. And it's very, you know, when you change your approach like that, it's always just a new feeling, a new challenge. And I think when you challenge yourself like that, you make different types of music and you push yourself as a musician.
That's a very nice way to put it, especially as someone who has no experience in like songwriting or producing. It's very interesting to see. It's very interesting to see your perspective, and it's really just fascinating to see what comes behind the scenes of an artist, right? And so we're just gonna take a little break for now. So Hongjoin, we talked about your journey and your creative process so far, right? But now let's talk about your new album, Clockwork. And firstly, congratulations on your release!
Woo! Thank you.
So to my knowledge, Clockwork is about like there's 12 songs, and it's like one song is based on each hour of the clock face, right? So what first inspired this idea? Because I thought it's really interesting.
I think it all kind of came into place naturally. I always wanted to have a full-length album. I think I've done smaller projects, but in this economy, it's kind of hard. But with this full length album, there are kind of like two sides to it. One's like daylight, 1 to 6 p.m., and then the other one's 7 to 12. So that corresponds with the tracks. And the first 6 songs are pretty upbeat and happy, and it's kind of like sunshine and rainbows. And then 7 to 12, it's kind of where you slow down. Night comes and sun sets, and you kind of start being introspective. At least that's how I function. When it gets late, that's when my brain starts to get alive, and you overthink a little more. And therefore the songs are a little sadder and more inwards, I think. And it's not as fun as the first 6 tracks, but that was intentional because I think with this project also I wanted to be a little more mature in my sound and slow down and strip things to its bare bones. Therefore you have songs like Stranger's Kiss, which is just me and a guitar, strings, and when you get to the last song, Surprise, it hits you like a wave, like a truck at 12 a.m. You're like, oh no, all these feelings are coming back, but it's kind of like a sappy feeling. So yeah.
I know some songs are like easy to come out, or like for every album is the same. So what would you say was the song that took a little bit longer to write?
I would say A Little More Time. Ironically, A Little More Time. But no, fittingly, A Little More Time. I wrote when I forget if I was 16. I wrote that as a kid, kind of, and I never put it out. I put it out on SoundCloud, like back in SoundCloud OG days, but it never became a song till now. And even though the lyrics kind of stayed the same, the sentiments of it kind of stayed the same, the meaning of it changed over the years, and I just kept going at it. I think it was a special song to me. It was just never ready till now. And I think it's interesting that, you can revisit songs when at a later stage in your life and still have it be a big part of your current phase in life. And that's what the song means to me. So yeah, A Little More Time.
What do you hope fans would leave after experiencing the album from like start to finish?
I think I want them to leave with a sense of warmth and maybe belonging. I think music to me is a means to feeling like your emotions are valid. And I think with this album, I tried to explore many different types of emotions. So there is a song for every type of emotion that you feel. And every emotion means something. So there's no happiness if you don't experience sadness. There's no loss if you haven't experienced love, right? And with these 12 tracks, I think I want this album to be something that you can go back to in the future as well, not just now, even though you should listen to it right now. You should. It is an album that will stand the test of time, and hopefully my listeners will see this as something they can reminisce about, and it reminds them of a time or a specific moment in their lives that they're grateful for. And yeah,
I like that, and I'm sure many fans out there, like us actually, would probably would resonate with a lot of your songs on the album. Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that.
I appreciate the question.
It's very interesting to hear your perspective on like how an album was made, like comes to life, right? But yeah, we're gonna take a little break for now. Before we go, let's look back on everything you have achieved and so far, and what's next for you. So my first question, I think we've talked about it just now, like making music in your bedroom, right? Does it still feel the same for you, making music now and then?
I think music has evolved over time for me. Now it's my life. It's all I know. It's my job. So not to scare people, but when that becomes your job, it takes on a new role in your life, and that to me is, it's the thing that brings me the most joy, but it's also the thing that brings me the most stress. But at the core of it, I do music because I love it, And I love the people that I meet because of music, and I think it's so meaningful.
Yay, I can't wait for like all the music you're gonna put out in the future. And I know you started making music around like COVID-ish, would say. And I know you did mention it was like too late. Like you said that it was not as early as like artists when they start music, right? Looking back, what is like the biggest moment that still doesn't feel real to you now?
I think the biggest moment is what's about to come, and it is gonna be my biggest ever headline show. I think I've always played a show every single time I'm back, and this is one that I've put a lot of effort into. And it's also kind of full circle moment for me because right when COVID ended, it was when they lifted the restrictions a little bit. I bust outside skate for the first time, and that was my first ever thing that I did in public, and the people showed up for no reason, and I was so grateful. And then we played our first real show at Scape Treetop. I think that's the name of the venue, and it's been how many years? I don't know. 4 years since then, and I'm back playing at the venue that I watched my first show at. I remember watching Mac Aries at Skate Ground back when I didn't really have anything to do with music and feeling so inspired, and now it's my turn, and I just hope people show up. I don't know how many people are going to show up, but I can guarantee a good time, as it always is playing in front of a home crowd.
That's so heartwarming. I'm about to tear up.
Okay, then come for the show.
I will come. Don't worry. We will all come and support you. I'm sure everyone out there listening would come to support you as well. And so that brings me to my last question, unfortunately. But it's a really big question, I would say. What is one piece of advice you give to aspiring independent artists who are just starting out?
Be delusional. Be fearless. Believe in your own craft. And the hours that you spent working alone when no one's giving you credit or watching you is going to pay off if you just commit, and you are going to be your own biggest fan and your own biggest critic. And especially in Singapore, it's kind of hard. But there's always people to look up to, and I've looked up to a lot of people back here at home in my life, and all these people have told me and shown me that it's possible. So it's not a fantasy, it is something very possible. So if you are also chasing something that you believe in, then go for it.
Thank you so much for coming down to the Conti and to chat
Thanks
with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and congratulations again on Clockwork and your headline show at Scape. We're so excited to come visit you and support you. And yeah,
Exciting.
like really all the best for whatever music you put out in the future, whether it's in Singapore, Brooklyn, anywhere in the world, just like you said. And so that brings us to the end of our interview. But hongjoin, do you want to front sell our next song?
Up next is Beside You by Keshi, only on the hottest thing on campus, Radio Heatwave.
Good one.